fight, trying to see where the life take me, so I roll the dice. Look up to no one else, but yeah, I was shy. I got real power, Hebrew Israelite.
Right? How you doing, Kenny? How you doing, brother? What's your name? You said what? Aaron? Alright, I'm tagged. Alright, so what we out here doing is we basically showing our people, the people on this sign, their biblical nationality and who they truly are. Because our identity has been stripped in America from us. So let's go to Jeremiah 17:4. So what would be your nationality, or what would you identify yourself today in America as? African American. So with that term African American, do you know the origin of that term? So the origin of that term, it came around during the 1700s, well, chiefly the 1800s, but it was popularized in the 1980s. So, I mean, you wasn't, your aunt, how old is your grandma? Like how, okay, I'm sorry to hear that, but how like old is she? 91? So your grandmother, she would be older than the word African American.
Right.
Because when she was walking on the earth, that term didn't exist. Right. So as time progresses, different terms get placed upon us. Now, who creates these terms? Who said that we were Negroes? Oh, so-called white people or colored. So we don't, it's not that we actually call ourselves these things. These terms was actually placed on us in slavery.
Right.
So what we come out here to do is we inform our people on to stop calling themselves these terms and find out who they truly are from the foundation of the world. That makes sense? All right, so let's give us 2 minutes of your time and we're going to show you something you might never heard before. Let's bring this up.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, and verse 4.
Bring it out.
And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage.
So the Lord said that these people, the Israelites, they would discontinue from their heritage. Now, as so-called African Americans, quote unquote, what would be our heritage? African? But like, what would be our heritage? A heritage consists of a land, a language, customs, traditions. You said what? You said we originate from Africa? Well, that was a lie. It's over 47 countries in Africa.
Right.
So if we do originate from Africa, which specifically do we come from? You're not sure? Okay, we're going to answer that. Galatians 4:26.
It's the book of Galatians, chapter 4, and verse 26.
You know?
So the whole, we come from Africa, ancient Kemet. That's a doctrine that is not true. All right? Because Africans, just because you have dark skin, that don't make you African.
Right.
People they always assuming, oh yeah, he got dark skin, he African. It's Arabs that look darker than you, brother. It's East Indians, they look darker than you. Right? Do that make them African? No. So just because you have dark skin, that don't mean you automatically African. Right? Let's bring this up.
It's the book of Galatians, chapter 4, and verse 26.
You know?
But Jerusalem, which is above, is free.
It says, but what?
But Jerusalem, which is above, is free.
Right?
Which is the mother of us all.
So we all originate from Israel. That's what we're here to tell you today. You will be an Israelite if you see yourself on this sign according to your father. The Israelites are a group of people you read about in the Bible. They are God's chosen people.
Right.
God has elected these people to be a chosen race, genetically, right, spiritually, physically. And he gave us laws, commandments that we have to follow.
Right.
So we come from Israel. We don't just come from Egypt, or we don't just come from Zimbabwe. We actually come from Israel. You said what? Say that again, my bad.
I'm sorry, like people like make us think that like they really like white people like right history.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever the so-called white man says, people believe it.
Right.
For example, they say we come from monkeys. You believe that? No. But majority of us at one time, we believe that if we ask somebody walking down, they gonna like, yeah, we come from monkeys. But where is that evolving monkey into a human now? Where's the human with a tail on the back? It's not here. So it's not possible. So what the so-called white man does, he tries to take God out the equation. He doesn't want you to believe that you have a higher power. He don't want you to believe that you have a creator. He wants you to believe in his science and his philosophy. But what we're saying is we have to come out of that.
Right.
We're telling you, you do have a creator. And our creator is found in the Bible, the God of Israel. Our creator has a look. Let's go to Daniel 7 and 9. No, we holding a lot. Let's go to Daniel chapter 7 and 9. Our creator, if you have to imagine what your creator will look like, how would you describe him?
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure. I don't know what God looks like.
Okay, now you got a phone? Alright.
I just believe it's like huge light.
You said what?
I believe it's like huge light.
A huge light? Alright, now I want you to type in God and press the search button and see what image comes up. Right? Now go to like the pictures.
It's made like that though. Like they make it like this.
Right. Right, they make him white. They make him a white man with a beard on his face.
Right.
With stringy hair. All of these pictures, God is a so-called white man with gray hair, long gray hair.
Right.
Right. Now keep this in mind. Right, keep this in mind, and we're gonna read the true depiction of what God actually looks like in the Bible. Daniel 7 and 9.
It's the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 9. I behold, till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit.
Now the Ancient of Days is another title for God the Father, because he doesn't have a time. Right? Read on.
Whose garment was white as snow.
So God, he had an all-white garment on. Read on.
And the hair of his head like the pure wool.
It says what?
And the hair of his head like the pure wool.
So it said God had woolly hair. What people have woolly hair on the earth? So it's showing you, brother, that your creator looks just like you.
Right.
It said in the beginning that God created man in his image.
Right.
Right? Testing. All right. Right, so the first man was dark skinned. Men were created from the ground, from the dust. What color is the dirt? The dust is dark. But the so-called white man wants you to believe that the first human being on the earth was white. I mean, geographically over there in that region, it couldn't be possible. Because so-called white people, they can't stand in the sun. Or else they will burn up.
Are you talking about Adam and Eve?
Yeah, Adam and Eve. They say if I look up Adam and Eve right now, white people will pop up.
Two naked white people.
Yeah, two naked white people, and they just hold their hands, and it's an apple right there, and Eve got it right here.
Right.
And it's a snake behind Eve, talking to her, behind her ear. But according to the Bible, let's go to Genesis 2:6 again. Right? The first man on the earth, they had dark skin. Let's go to that.
The book of Genesis, chapter 2 and verse number 6.
Work it out.
But there went up a mist.
Read on.
But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground.
Read that part again.
And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground.
So the Lord, he formed man of the dust of the ground.
Right.
Again, the dirt, the dust is dark, brown, black. Right? So what we're showing you is that this Bible is actually a history book about our people.
Right.
So if he looks just like us, what do you think his son, which everybody calls Jesus Christ, looks like? The same. All right, you turn this side around, okay? Revelation 1:13.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 13.
Get out.
And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man,
Right?
clothed with a garment down to the foot,
So Christ had a garment all the way down to his foot. Read on.
and girt about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool.
So Christ himself had white woolly hair, just like his father. Read on.
As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire,
Right?
and his feet like unto fine brass.
Now brass is brown, right? Brass is like a penny. So Christ's feet was like brass, and his feet will be the same color as the rest of his body.
Right.
Read on.
As if they burned in a furnace.
As what?
As if they burned in a furnace.
How dark was Christ?
As if they burned in a furnace.
So take that brown and burn it. It's saying that he was very, very dark.
Right.
Right? So again, we say all of this to say, although that Christ was very dark, he had a nationality.
Right.
Let's go to Hebrews 7 and 14. He had a people that he came from. And that people was the Israelites.
Right.
That you read about in the Bible. Again, if you see yourself on this sign according to your father, you will come from one of the 12 tribes.
Right.
So if your father is a so-called American black, or you will be an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. If your father is so-called Haitian, you will be an Israelite from the tribe of Levi. It's all according to your father. Now bring that up. Hebrews 7:14.
Book of Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 14.
Get out.
For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah.
It says what?
For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah.
So Christ, he came from the tribe of Judah.
Right.
And Judah, right, you had the kings from the Davidic seed line ruling. Right? So Judah will be the top tribe out of all the 12 tribes. So if Christ was on the earth, he will be labeled as a Negro man.
That's right.
A so-called a black man, a nigger. That's what he would be labeled as if he was walking the earth in 2023.
Right.
Right, but back then, the terms that we have now, black, African American, Afro-American, Moorish, we didn't have those terms back then. What they was calling themselves was Israelites from their respective tribes.
Right.
So that's what we're showing you today, brother. Your history is found in the Bible. That's who we are. We are the Israelites. Now, as the Israelites, what do you think we have to do? Because Israel, the Israelites, they have a culture. They have a heritage, right? They have a language. Hebrew is their language. The land they come from is Israel, right? They have customs, which is keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. As black people, we don't have a heritage.
Right.
What's the language of black? We don't speak, English is not our language. We was taught English. We didn't always know English, right? Our language we write is in cursive. What? Okay, well, hey, it's true, right? Certain people, they think our language that we write in is cursive.
I believe it too because, like, they have it now to that. He's just like white man. Have you ever saw like a picture of like heaven like in the Bible, and it's just like a lot of white angels and stuff. It's just like it's simulated, You think like nothing.
It's what you call the whitewash.
Right.
In the 1400s, you had something called the Renaissance period. The word Renaissance means to be rebirthed. So you know about Leonardo da Vinci? Leonardo da Vinci, he was that famous painter. So you have men like him. He actually painted this man right here. Let's hold this up. This is an actual man on the left. You probably see this image often. His name is set, Yeah, he drew this. Yeah. His name, you can look this man up. His name is Cesare Borgia, right? He was the son of the 6th Pope of Rome. And Leonardo da Vinci, he was actually a homosexual. And this was his boyfriend. And they painted him and they set him up as God.
Right.
Go to Wisdom Solomon 14. You said what? Yeah, that's right. It's the devil.
Right.
That's right. Because only the word devil means to deceive. This image deceived the whole earth. Right? Let's bring bring it out.
Book of 1 Maccabees 3 and 48.
Bring it out.
And laid open the book of the law.
So the heathens, the other nations, the so-called white man, he opened up this Bible, read on,
Wherein the heathen has sought to paint the likeness of their images.
see that? So they sought to paint their likeness of the images.
Right.
So all of the images, right, like Moses, Christ, right, Paul.
I have a question. Like, what do you think about the pyramids? Like, do you think that, like, Egyptian people, like African,
You said what?
do you think, like, Egyptian people, they're, like, black, or do you think?
Well, that's a good question. We have a good answer. Exodus 11 and 7. Right? Now the Egyptians, no, you good. The Egyptians are African.
Right.
Now the point I was making, let's turn this around.
Because, like, I noticed, like every time, like, you know, like, this kind of money casket, like, those, like, going,
Yeah.
like, they don't want it, you know, it's,
That was the point I was going to get at. So again, you had something called iconoclasm during the 1400s, right? Now during iconoclasm, the so-called white man, he knocked all of the noses off the images because so-called African Negro, people of Negro descent, we have those big noses. So if you could knock the nose off and make the nose skinny, it might look like that image is, guess what? It's a so-called white man.
Right.
But that's why they knocked the nose off the Sphinx, right? That's why they knocked all of the, I mean, it's a lot of images that we would tell you of people that were actually dark-skinned that they made white.
right.
I mean, it's a lot. It's so many, we can't even name them off all of them right now. We know the figures of the Bible, obviously, but you had actual men that walked the earth that were once melanated, but now they say that he's white.
Right.
So all of that is a part of iconoclasm. Now let's bring this up.
Exodus chapter 11 verse 7.
Yeah.
But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue.
Right.
Against man nor beast, that ye may know how the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
Now it's a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. We are the Israelites. If you see yourself on the sign. Now the Egyptians, they have dark skin like us, but we're two totally different nations. It's a difference between an African man and a man like us from the hood. You won't see the difference. You can see the spirit on the Africans. They had those big heads, right? Their foreheads is real wide. But they had the same skin color as us, but we're not the same people.
Right.
Chinese and Japanese people, they look the same. But if you call a Chinese person Japanese, they're gonna say, no, I'm not that. Mexican, so-called Mexican and Puerto Ricans, they look the same. But hey, call a Puerto Rican Mexican if you want to, right? They're gonna be offended. They're gonna say, I'm not Mexican, I'm Puerto Rican. So just because you look the same outer appearance, that don't mean you literally, that don't mean you're the same people. All right?
Like, I have another question. What do you think of interracial relationships?
Interracial relationships, interracial marriages. Well, let me ask you, what's your thoughts on interracial relationships?
I mean, we all human, so, you know, like people, like, we get together, like if different races get together, like, it's still in, like, God's doing, you know?
Okay, well, let's see. Let's open up the Bible and see. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 1. Give me Tobit chapter 4 and give me verse 12. Give me Sirach chapter 26 and give me verse 19. Give me 1 Ezra chapter 9 and verse 7. It's a lot.
It's the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 1.
Bring it out.
When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land, whether thou goest to possess it,
Right?
and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
Now, these are African nations, right? Read one.
And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them.
Right?
Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them.
Right?
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
Read that again.
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them.
Now, in this context, it's talking about these 7 nations, but these apply to the other nations as well. So the God of the Bible, again, we want to take Christianity out of our heads. The Bible and Christianity is totally different. The Bible is not a religious book at all. When you actually read this book, it's more of a historical book of records than it is religion. But what mankind has did, he has took the Bible and put his religion and his doctrine and infused it with the Bible, and now you have something called Seventh-day Adventists. You have something called Baptists. You have something called Christianity.
Like, is Christianity like real? Like, you believe like there is a God?
No, there is a God. I'm not negating that, but with Christianity, they believe that it's a lot of different beliefs with Christianity. They believe all people could be saved. They believe God is for everybody. They believe God is for everybody. They believe certain laws in the Old Testament you don't have to keep anymore. It's a lot of, just like with Catholics, they worship the Virgin Mary instead of God. So with these different religions, it's not found in the Bible. Now God said you can't make marriages with the people of the other nations. So believe it or not, the God of the Bible is against interracial marriages. And on a physical level, interracial marriages is going to keep destroying us. You watched the movie Get Out?
Yeah.
What did you learn from that movie?
It's been like a long time since I really don't remember. Bro.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of things you can learn from the movie Get Out.
Can you tell me about it? Like,
Yeah, I watched it before. What it was doing is, it was this white woman, she was going around being with none other than so-called black men. Now, what she was doing was she was taking them back to their community, and the whole community, let's say the whole city of Chicago, they all with this plot. They was getting so-called black men to get their physical, because they know that these so-called white people, they know that we're physically, genetically superior to them. So they would get our bodies, our organs, our eyes.
race though.
You said what?
Like, we're like the more dominant and superior race.
We are. So what they were doing is they were taking our organs, our eyes, our jawline, certain abilities that we have, and they was doing transplants so they could get them. It's a whole lot. We advise you watch the movie. But one of the friends in the movie he was telling them, hey man, you can't trust the white, don't go with that white woman. That's what we was saying. And it's a reason to that, and it's going to tell you in the Bible. Let's read on in that, Deuteronomy 7:3.
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them, thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son,
Right.
nor his daughters shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me.
Read that again.
For they will turn away thy son from following me.
Why is God against interracial relationships?
For they will turn away thy son from following me.
So God said the reason why we have to marry inside our own nation.
Right.
The reason why, because if anytime it's an interracial marriage, the culture is now messed up. For example, let's say if you go get you a white woman and you have a son with this white woman, it's certain motherly instincts that the women of our own nation could give to that son that a white woman just can't do.
Right.
The culture is going to be all out of order. I mean, it's certain things that white mother, she can't relate to what your son.
Like what's like, let's say like you live in the hood, right? And then like some white girl lives in the hood, and then she's like culturally like she learns about all like the black culture,
Right.
Like is that,
Well, the thing is, that's not her culture. Even if you do have it, it's not, the spirit is going to be off. Because, yeah, she might grow up in the hood, but can she say the word nigga? No. It's because she can't, it's not a part of her culture.
right?
So the reason why we can't marry with them, because they have their own gods. They have their own, just like a Chinese, you can't go get a Chinese woman. She's going to, believe it or not, she's going to turn you away from serving your creator, which is the God of the Bible. Because being realistically, men, once they get a woman, they incline emotionally into their woman. If your woman say, come home right now, right? I want to go to the movies. You're going to stop hanging with your bro. Realistically, you might stop hanging with your bros. You're going to go home to your wife and go take her to the movies. Why? Because, I mean, that's your wife. That's your possession. You're now emotionally inclined to her. So if your wife say, no, I want you to do this, 9 times out of 10, the average man don't have that type of discipline to say no. You have something called simps.
Actually, like, I'm not the type to like really like emotionally, you know, attached. You know, like I choose my purpose over, you know, like a girl. Cause like, you know, like the girl, like let's say, like you go to the military, right? And, like the girl wants you to like stay home, you know, watch movies and stuff, but you know, you want to choose your own purpose. You know, she would feel some type of way, you know, temporarily, but like she would like respect you even more if you know, choose your own purpose.
Right. Now, how many men can do what you're doing though? Not a lot.
Especially like in 2023, like.
There you have it. Especially in 20, they're not doing that. So that's why God is saying it's for, not only that, that's just for a woman in general. How much more for a woman of the other nation? I mean,
God bless, have a great day.
Next thing you know, you go get an Arab woman, now you serving a cobblestone. Right? You used to be from the hood, I'm saying, getting money. You with an Arab woman now. Now you going around a cobblestone in Mecca, and you walking around in that big circle. You doing things normally that you wouldn't do.
Right.
Well, hey, the Most High gave you a boundary already. He said, get you a woman amongst your own nation. Likewise with the woman, because the man carries the seed.
Right.
So let's say if a woman who is an Israelite gets with a Egyptian and they have a son, that baby is no longer an Israelite.
Right.
It's an Egyptian now.
Right.
Because the man carries the sperm or the seed. So it's a whole reason. Well, let's bring out Tobit point 12.
It's the book of Tobit, chapter 4, and verse number 12.
Get out.
Beware of all order, my son.
Right.
And chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers.
Right.
And take not a strange woman to wife.
And what?
And take not a strange woman to wife.
Now, as I was telling you earlier about the Israelites, they have their own rules they have to follow by their God. One of the commandments is we can't take a strange wife. So we can't, I can't go get a Japanese woman just because that's what I want.
Right.
I have to have a selection inside of my woman. So I have to give me a woman of my own nation. All right, read on.
Which is not of thy father's tribe.
Right.
For we are the children of the prophet.
It says what?
For we are the children of the prophet.
Because do you know who do we descend from? We descend from kings.
Right.
Right? A priesthood. Prophets. Right? Moses that you read about. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. We descend from those men. So when we doing that and we mingling that seed, that product is now non and void. Read on.
Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred.
So Adam, Noah, Jacob, they all married wives of their own race.
Right.
Read on.
And were blessed, and their children and their seed shall inherit the land.
Now give me Sirach 26 and 19. We got two more verses. Sirach 26 and 19. You can drop that. Give me, oh, you got it already? All right.
Give me 1 Kings 11.
Look at Sirach 26 and verse 19. Get out. My son, keep the flower of thine age sound,
Right.
and give not thy strength to strangers. When thou hast gotten a fruitful possession through all the field, sow it with thy own seed.
Right, so a fruitful possession will be a woman.
Right.
All right. Again, a man has a seed. So let's say you planted watermelon seeds, and so you're trying to get a watermelon vine going. All right, as a husband, are you going to mix watermelon seeds with orange seeds? No, because why not? It's not going to turn out very well. Right? Read on.
Sow it with thy own seed, trusting in the goodness of thy stock.
Right? So you want to trust in the goodness of thy stock. It's like when you breed animals. Are you going to breed a pit bull with a chihuahua? Why not?
It's like maybe I'm sorry, like puppy will come out like less genetically gifted.
Thank you. It wouldn't be that strong, full-bred pit bull.
Right.
So, I mean, even men that sell dogs, they know not to breed different dogs together. So it's the same way with us. As a people, we can't, because next you know, not a baby, we think in this society it's glorified if we have children with long hair and green eyes. That's glorified as exotic, but that's not normal. Right. That's what you call recessive genes. People that have blue eyes, green eyes, hazel, like all of these different type of color, gray eyes, those are recessive genes. It's not normal. It wasn't normal 2,000 years ago to have so-called skin like that, just being realistic.
Right.
They can't stand in the sun for no longer than 5 minutes without burning up. So when we get in the sun, we get darker. Our sun start glowing more. So the Lord said, trusting in the goodness of thy stock, read on.
So thy race which thou leavest shall be magnified.
So thy what?
So thy race which thou leavest shall be magnified.
So race is in the Bible. According to the Bible, hey, we're going to see God is a racist. He said, now the word racist is not what it means as people say today. The word racist just means you take interest in one race over another.
Right. I have another question.
What's the next question?
What do you think of like this new generation? What do you think of like the new generation?
Generation, what is Generation X?
Like 2023, like Gen Z.
What, okay, Generation Z. What do I think? Well, let's see what the Bible says about it. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 30 and 11.
I feel like it's like really like messed up though. A lot of stuff is like.
Hey. Right, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 and 18.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 30 and 11.
Oh.
There is a generation that curses their father.
It says what?
There is a generation that curses their father,
Read on.
and doeth not bless their mother.
Now, it's a lot of different generations on the earth. You got Generation X, right? Generation Z. You got the millennials, right? People that was born in the 80s. But it's a generation that curses their mom and their dad. What generation do you think that was?
This generation.
This generation.
Right.
You got, what, 10, 11-year-olds, they bad. I've seen this like this 7-year-old walking in the store.
5-year-olds dated like St. Junior and stuff like.
Yeah. See that? You got 10-year-olds, they saying they don't want to be a boy anymore. Right? How does a 10-year-old know whether they want to be a boy anymore?
Like stuff they put out like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
Social media. The media. That's the agenda that the so-called white man pushes.
That's right.
And he does it majority to our people.
Like it's not like you have to think that it's not just the white man, like it's also the devil that's putting that stuff up because like the devil doesn't like seeing God's actual creations, like in his glory. So like he takes that away by putting like stuff out there.
Oh yeah, it's the devil, but you gotta think the word devil, the root word or the origin in etymology, it just means to deceive. So anybody could be a devil, anybody could be the deceiver. The mass deceiver on the earth is the so-called white man.
Right.
There isn't. You mean like a man underground, red man?
No, I'm not talking about that, but like just like this, like a person with like no body, but like it's like a evil spirit that tells people to like deceive everything. Like
You gonna answer that? Hold James 2:18. Yes, you have evil spirits. They're called devils. But again, the word devil just means deceive. Those evil spirits, they deceive the minds of the people.
like they take over like white people to make them.
There you go. There you go. They take over the so-called white man and cause them to do things that's not normal. So dealing with this generation, again, you had this 7-year-old, she walk in the store with no clothes on, with a credit card in her hand with an iPhone 14. I mean, hey, brothers back in the day, brothers ain't get a phone until they damn near was 30.
Right.
Right? No, I'm playing. Brothers ain't get a phone until they was, college. 20s maybe. See that? When you get a phone? See that? 19 years old. I ain't get a phone until I was about 14. Now you have 7-year-olds. They got phones, 5-year-olds, tablets now.
Like grown people phones.
Yeah, grown people phones. They got Facebook pages. Hey, times have changed. You got 2, 3-year-olds, they on Facebook. Doing it. What is that? Nah, we not. Yeah, that's not. I don't know. It might happen. But you got 10-year-olds taking mirror pictures.
Right.
Posting themselves on Instagram. So, and you got all type of predators on the internet. It's a lot. So let's read on that. Proverbs 30 and 11.
There's a generation that curses their father and doeth not bless their mother.
Right?
There is a generation that are pure in their own eyes, and yet is not washed from their filthiness.
So it's still describing a generation which is now. It's a generation they peer in their own eyes. They think they don't need God. Right? How many people walk, as many people as walk by, you probably about the fourth one out of the whole day to walk by. To actually stop.
Yeah, that's because he called me, but like, no, like, I feel like, I don't know, like, really, like, I'm be honest with you, like, you don't see like a lot of like skateboard and stuff, so he probably, you know, he probably thought I was like just brainwashed or something. Like, I don't know, that's just my opinion.
Well, you don't want to judge a book by its cover. Right. So that's why when we get to talk to you, we knew that you knew about, you know, we're conscious about what's going on.
Right.
All right, but again, most people our age or our, I'm saying race, we're not thinking like that. We don't have manners or respect. So read on.
There is a generation, oh how lofty are their eyes, and their eyelids are lifted up.
Right.
There is a generation whose teeth are as swords, and their jaws teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth, and the needy from among men.
And that's what people do now. They plot on the poor, they rob people, they steal. Again, kids doing it now. So God actually talks about this generation in the Bible.
So I'm like, there's actually like a school shooting around my school. Like after like school let out, it was like one kid got shot, and like two like died. I was like, yeah, it's messed up. And like they're like about like our age. Like,
see that?
Yeah.
Well, it's letting you know, brother, you living in the last generation.
Right.
You living in the end of the world.
Right.
All right, let's bring out Wisdom of Solomon 3:19.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 19. For horrible is in the end of the unrighteous generation.
See that? So the Lord said, horrible, it's a horrible end for this unrighteous generation.
Okay, like I'm last question. Is there like a rapture?
A rapture?
Yeah.
Are we going to answer that after we answer your other question? Because you said something about devils. All right, let's go. Now, it's cool. We going to answer them, but we want to tackle one point at a time. Let's go to James 2:19. Give me Psalms chapter 78 and give me verse 49.
It's the book of James, chapter 2, and verse 19.
No.
Thou believest that there is one God.
Right.
Thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble.
See that? So you have devils, which again are spirits created on the left-hand side, also known as evil angels. You don't just have something called good angels, right? Or some people, they think all angels are good. No, you have good and you have bad. And those devils, believe it or not, those devils actually work for God. So if God says, you know what, I want this man to rob this man, God is going to send that evil spirit on the earth, and that man, he's now going to rob that man over there.
Sometimes God, he makes you get hurt to like as a lesson, or you know, just to keep his faith. You know.
Thank you. So what causes that? Those evil spirits. I mean, he can humble you and do bad things towards you, but I'm saying what causes those, because God is not going to get off his throne and do those bad things toward you himself. So he uses his different spirits to get to you.
Right.
That's why, because believe it or not, God, he created evil. Let's go to 2 Chronicles 18 and 18. Let's bring this up.
The Psalm 78 and 49. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath, and indignation.
Now, do you know about the 10 plagues? Do you know about the 10 plagues of Egypt? No, okay. All right, read on.
Wrath and indignation and trouble.
So you see wrath, you see when a person get wrathful and want to fight somebody, anger, troubleness, read on.
By sending evil angels among them. By sending evil angels among them.
So all angels are good.
By sending evil angels among them.
So the Lord, he sends evil angels amongst the people. So when somebody does, who causes that person that does a mass shooting?
Psalm 78:48.
That evil angel. And who is that evil angel sent to? He's sent by? God. In that order. So all things at the end of the day, the devils, the evil spirits, the good spirits, they all obey the will of God.
What do you think God does? Like, what do you think God makes the evil angels do evil things? Like, let's say like the person like shoots the entire school for no reason. Like, what do you think God did that for?
Well, it could be many reasons why the Lord did that. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 85. Before we answer that, let's read the 2 Chronicles 18 and 19. I mean, it's a lot of different reasons. ultimately it could be judgment. So a person that's doing evil, they're being evil, guess what? Bad things are gonna happen to evil people.
Right.
So that mass shoot, the Lord caused that mass shooting to happen because maybe that one person that died in that mass shooting, maybe they were an evil doer. See that you never know, and the will, the God's purpose has to stand on the earth. So I mean, we could question why guys do this, but at the end of the day, the Lord, He does whatever seems fit best, and we don't know His thought process. So let's bring out 2 Chronicles 18 and 18.
It's the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 18 and verse 18. Again he said, therefore hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting upon his throne,
Right?
and all the hosts of heaven standing on his right hand side and on his left.
So this seer, he's seeing God in the heavens sitting on his throne, and he has angels on his right hand, angels on his left hand. The angels on his left hand represents evil angels. The angels on his right hand represent the good angels. Read on.
And the Lord said, who shall entice Ahab the king of Israel?
So this is what God's saying. He said, who's going to entice the king of Israel? Read on.
That he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead. And one spake, saying, after this manner.
So who God said, who's going to entice King Ahab to lose this war at Ramoth Gilead? Meaning to lose this battle. Because everything happens for a reason. Let's say if you're a boxer and you fight another boxer, but you lose that match. It's a reason to why you lost that match. God had you lose that match.
Right.
So the Lord is saying, who's going to cause King Ahab to lose this battle at Ramoth Gilead? Read on.
And another saying, after that manner, then there come out a spirit and stood before the Lord.
So a spirit came before God, read on.
And said, I will entice him.
It said what?
I will entice
So
him.
you had an evil spirit that said, hey, I will entice him. I'm going to go get him. Right, read on.
Wherewith? And he said, I will go out and be a lying spirit.
And be what?
And be a lying spirit.
So you have lying spirits. When people lie to each other, guess what? It's a lying spirit causing them to lie. So if your wife comes home at 2 in the morning and you ask her where has she been, and she says nowhere, I was with my friends, the whole time she's lying to you, it's a spirit on her that's causing her to lie.
Right.
Who is that spirit sent by? God.
I mean, like, she has, I mean, you know, God, like, he could respect, I mean, like, he could, you know, make her cheat on you, like, as a lesson. But, like, really, like, the best way to not have her girl cheat on you is, like, she has to respect you.
Well, I'm just saying, in general, if whether she is being respectful or not, if she's lying to you, it's that lying spirit caused her to lie. And maybe that was God teaching you a lesson. Maybe you were putting your woman before God. And he's letting you know, hey, guess what? You need to chill out on a woman. All right, so that's showing you, that answers the question. Now, Ecclesiastes 8:5.
Ecclesiastes 8 and 5.
No.
Whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing.
Now, if you keep these commandments as an Israelite, it's a lot of, how many commandments you think is in this book? Thousands? Well, it's close to 1,000. It's over 613 laws in this Bible, statutes, commandments, ordinances that we have to follow to the best of our ability. Now, some of them we just can't follow due to our conditions. Nevertheless, the ones that we can keep, we keep to the best of our ability.
Right.
How do I tell, like, God sends, like, how do I tell, like, since God sent me, like a girl? Like,
We gonna answer that. All right, we got you. But if you keep the commandments, you're not gonna, no evil is gonna happen to you. Why? Because you're keeping the commandments. You're protected by God.
Right.
Read on.
And a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment.
It says what?
And a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment.
So a wise man, when something happens to him, the first question that a wise man is gonna think in his head is, why is this happening to me? And it's two reasons. Either God is judging you because you disobeyed his commandments, or God is teaching you a lesson. So, with that being said, your next question was what? How do you know if God sends a girl your way? Let's go to Sirach chapter 7. All right, Sirach 7 and 25. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 18 and 21.
Sirach 7 and 29.
Now, before we go to Sirach, let's go to Proverbs 18.
Now, I mean, any man that a girl is, the way you tell if this is a godly woman.
Right.
Because if a woman comes to you and she finds interest, how do you know that she's sent from God? Well, an evil woman or a good woman, either way she's sent from God.
Right.
Either way, God sends her to you. Now that evil woman could be for a test, for a learning lesson, or that good woman could be for your wife, as a favor, as a gift, right? So let's read this.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 21. Get out. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof.
Read on.
Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing,
Right, so if you find a wife, you find a good thing. Read on.
and obtain favor of the Lord.
See that? It's a favor of the Lord. So if a man finds a wife, hey, that's a good thing. The Lord wants us to marry. But you want to discern, okay, whether this the right woman or not, or whether she's an evil woman.
My opinion, I feel like she leads you, like she makes you like a stronger person. And I feel like that's, God sending her,
And she makes you a stronger person?
yeah.
Well, it depends what you mean by a stronger person.
Like, like it's like hard for me to describe it, but
You mean that she motivates you
yeah,
and encourages you in life?
yeah.
Well, yeah, that could be a sign. And that's a sign that you will want. And she pushes you to be a better man. All right, but ultimately, if she's a woman of God, because the only way you're gonna know if a woman is sent by God for the right reason, if she's keeping the commandments. Now, how do you know if a woman is keeping the commandments or not?
Not cheating. I don't know all of this.
Well, in order to know if a woman is keeping the commandments or not, you would have to know the commandments yourself.
Right.
So you have many commandments in this Bible. We're going to go over it. Nevertheless, let's tackle your question real fast. Let's go to Sirach 7, 25.
Sirach 7 and 25.
Go.
Marry thy daughter, and so shalt thou have performed a weighty matter. But give her to a man of understanding. Hast thou a wife after thy mind?
It says what?
Hast thou a wife after thy mind?
Because you might have a wife. You might, you know what I'm saying? Hey, I want me a wife. A woman to settle down with. Read on.
Forsake her not,
Meaning don't forsake her. Read on.
but give not thyself over to a light woman.
But you don't want to be dealing with a light woman. A light woman is a simple woman. A woman that's simple. Right? She's simple-minded. She don't believe in God. She says she do, but her actions show differently.
Right.
Right? She puts on the front. She acts different around other men. They call it in the world red flags. So you want to pay attention to those, and that's how you know if a woman is sent by God or not. Ultimately, if she's keeping God's commandments and she's fearing Him. Let's bring this up.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 26 and verse 24.
Down at verse 23.
Verse 23. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man.
Read that again.
A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man.
So a wicked woman is only given to a wicked man. So if you get a woman that's wicked, the next thing you got to ask yourself, well, dang, am I wicked? Because God said a wicked woman is given to a portion of a wicked man. Read on.
But a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord.
So if you want a godly woman, you have to fear the Lord first.
Right.
The Most High, He's not giving in words godly woman. The man that's a bank robber, he's not going to give a godly woman to that man, because he's not going to know how to handle that.
Is it possible like 90% godly man to like a wicked woman?
A wicked woman?
Or like,
Yeah, that could happen. I mean, but that could happen as a judgment. Because realistically, let's go to Ecclesiastes 7 and 26. Realistically, if you're a godly man, God is not going to put a godly man in that type of situation to begin with.
unless he's using that as a learning lesson, right? He's using that as a learning lesson, or for like, you read the story of Job. Job, his wife, you know what I'm saying, she was off, but he was a godly man. So yeah, God could do that, but chiefly, a godly man, a godly woman is given to a man that fears God. Let's bring this up.
With Ecclesiastes 7 and verse 26.
No.
And I find more bitter than death the woman.
See that? So the Bible actually talks about women, because not every woman is sincere. You have harlots out here. You have women that just try to get you for your money. You have women that plot on NBA players, wait till they get into the NBA, marry them, then file a divorce so they can get that money. Have children. You have certain women, they have children with men to knock them off their game. Now you can't play sports anymore. You got to take care of his kid. Right? So with the Lord, it says, I find more bitter than death the woman, read on,
whose heart is snares and nets.
and it's chiefly talking about wicked women. Now, their heart is snares and nets because wicked women, they like to play mind games, right? Oh, you ain't spend time with me. You always out with your fellas. Just come home. Spend 1 hour with me, right? Whole time, she just want to get on your good side because she knows she was doing something she wasn't supposed to be doing.
Right.
And she just making it up to you by taking you out on a date. So you know what, hey, I'm gonna pay for it. You don't even gotta pay for it. I'm gonna pay for the popcorn, babe. The whole time, she's with another man. She's texting another man on Instagram, right? So they like to play mind games, all right? Read on.
In her hands as bands. Whoso pleases God shall escape from her.
It says what?
Whoso pleases God shall escape from her.
So if you please God, God is gonna separate you from that wicked woman, right? Read on.
But the sinner.
But the what?
But the sinner.
Read that again.
But the sinner.
But if you're a sinner, if you're an evil man, if you're not keeping God's commandments, what's gonna happen?
Shall be taken by her.
God is gonna send that wicked woman to entangle you up. Right? That's why you see a lot of men, their mind is gone by the woman. Chiefly because they're sinners. You got a question? You have a question?
I'm not asking about shit, but thank you for your time, though.
Say what?
I'm not asking about shit, but thank you for your time, though.
Alright, we got like 2 more verses for you before you leave. Alright, we're gonna give you some commandments. Let's go to the dietary law.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 11 and verse 7.
No.
And the swine,
Right?
though he divide the hook and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you.
Right. Now you know what swine is, brother? It's the pork. So do you eat pig? Do you eat pig? I said, do you eat pig? Do you eat pork? No? Alright, that's good. Now according to the Bible, eating pork is a sin, if you didn't know. So knowing that it's a sin, it's a commandment that we can't eat pork. Again, it's a part, man. Right? Anyways, it's a reason why some of the things we was going over, the evil women, the sinners, all of that, the judgments, all of that stuff happens because we break his commandments. One of his commandments is we can't eat pork. So you want to, if you did eat pork, you want to repent and you want to never eat it again. You eat seafood? All right, jump down to verse 9.
Verse 9. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. Whatsoever hath fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat.
So you can only eat things in the waters, foods in the waters that have fins and scales. If it don't have fins and scales, then we can't eat it. Because, let's read it again.
These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters.
As the Israelites, God gave us a dietary law. Laws we have to follow about our diet. Because we can't eat anything. The Chinese man, he eats anything. He eats rats, bats, with no consequences held, with no rules or regulations. See that? I mean, it's true.
He turned around and said, what are you talking about?
It's true.
What you say about cats and rats and dogs?
Right? They actually had, it was a report filed It was a Chinese person. They moved in on the block, and everybody was posting on the walls missing dogs. And they actually found out that the Chinese man, he was actually kidnapping those dogs and eating them. Right? So God, he gave us as a dietary law. He said, "Hold on, you're not like the other nations. You're a different people. You have different rules." Right? So in the waters, it has to have fins and scales. Read on.
Whatsoever have fins and scales in the waters, in the seas, and in the rivers, them shall ye eat.
Right?
And all that have not fins and scales
And what?
And all that have not fins and scales
If it don't have fins and scales, read on.
in the seas and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you.
They shall what?
They shall be an abomination unto you.
God said, don't eat it, it's an abomination. And when you examine the crab is the spider of the sea. It eats all of the poop and stuff of the sea. Brother say he seen a video, a man opened up, a diver opened up a crab legs, and there was nothing but termites coming up. So it's a reason why God told us not to eat those things. But you know what our people do? We eat it anyway. We have seafood boils, the crab legs, the corn, the shrimp, and we wonder why we have these different diseases amongst our people.
Right, teach y'all.
So that's just 2 commandments. You have other commandments like no smoke. You smoke, but you smoke. We, according to the Bible, we can't smoke. All right, let's bring that up. 1 Corinthians 3:16. Now you might say, well, hold on, why? I mean, it's natural. It grows from the ground. Okay. Let's go to Genesis 1:29.
1 Corinthians 3:16. Know ye not that ye are the temple of God, and that the Spirit of God dwelleth in you?
Right.
If any man defile the temple of God,
And your temple is the body. If you defile your temple, if you defile your body by doing any type of narcotics, drugs, heroin, weed, cigarettes, read on.
him shall God destroy.
It says what?
Him shall God destroy.
God will destroy you. God will kill you.
Xanax though, like, what if you like need that though, like as like medicine?
Need Xanax?
Yeah, like medicine. I mean, like I don't take it. But I'm just saying, like,
I mean, I wouldn't definitely know. I wouldn't.
like people like they take Xanax as like a real one. Like it's really good for like people like with ADHD, I think.
You said what?
Like people like they take Xanax as a drug, like it's really meant for like ADHD people.
Right.
So
Or it's used for different type of ailments. Right. That, I mean, a pill, I don't recommend anybody taking a pill. Right? Because God knows what is in that pill. Even with the Xanax, I mean, you might say it's to help you, but who knows to say what's in that pill?
Right.
Somebody might mix it with fentanyl, right? And next thing you know, now you out of here. So weed, marijuana actually has a purpose on the earth. One of the purposes not for you to smoke though. Let's read it.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed.
Now marijuana is a herb. God created it. It grows from it's a plant. It grows from the ground. You know what?
Which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed.
It says what?
Yielding seed.
So the Lord is saying these herbs, they have seeds in them. Real fruits, they're supposed to have seeds in them. Does marijuana now have seeds in them? No. What about the fruits? Do they have, all fruits have seeds now? No, you have something called seedless grapes. How do you have a grape that has no seed? It needs a seed for it to grow.
Right.
Seedless watermelons, seedless oranges. It's GMO, it's not real.
Right.
It's genetically modified. So majority of the weed that our people do smoke, it's not even real. Right? So read on.
To you it shall be for meat.
It says what?
To you it shall be for meat.
Now a herb is supposed to be for meat. When something's for meat, does that mean to smoke it? It means to consume it.
Right.
So you would actually use marijuana if you have a physical ailment, you would consume it, not smoke it at all. So, I mean, that's what marijuana is used for. So if we smoking it, I know you say you don't smoke it no more, all praises. We can't smoke anything for the rest of our life. So it's a lot more commandments. You have the Sabbath day. You have a lot of commandments.
No?
I'm talking about the slavery. I have another question.
You said what?
I have another question if you don't mind. Okay, so like, what does it mean? Okay, so like, what does it mean when like God puts like the right person in your life, but like it's not the good timing?
Is that a good timing?
Yeah, like God puts like the right like woman in your life, but it's not the best timing though.
It's not the best timing?
Yeah.
Like you having a bad time?
I'm saying like relationship can work out like right now, but it'll work out in the future.
It will work out in the future. I mean, everything. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 3:1. I mean, it depends. I wouldn't focus on that though. I would just focus on learning who you are as an Israelite, learning how to serve God more, reading over the scriptures, learning the more commandments. Because a woman could be a snare to you. All right.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heavens.
Right, so it's a time and it's a purpose for everything underneath the heaven. So if God puts a woman in your life, but it's the bad timing, I mean, maybe he could put that in your life to cheer you up. If she's a God-fearing woman, right? Or you might be good, you might have a lot of money, you might be up, but God sends you a woman and that tears down your life. So it depends. You want to have the discernment of that time and that purpose.
Right.
It depends. All right, well, all praises. So we got a flyer for you. This is a starter pack with this.